Hello and welcome to Louis Philippe's In Pursuit of Excellence. This show is about excellence, and we have here arguably India's finest golfer. He's also a Padma awardee, a fellow Padma awardee, I should say, and also a fellow Rolex ambassador. My dear friend Jeev Milkha Singh. Jeev, great to see you. You look well, you look strong, you look fit. Don't tell me otherwise.
It's nice seeing you too, Vijay, and I'm feeling good, I'm feeling fit, and it's good to be here talking to you.
Thank you very much for being on the show. We want to talk to you a lot of things, but first I want to ask you about the fact that you grew up with Milkha Singh as your last name. I mean, that's going to be sort of something that might have started off haunting you in the beginning, but son of a famous athlete, but more importantly, going into a different sport. But being Milkha Singh's son, how was it to start off?
Being Milkha Singh's son, there used to be a lot of pressure on me in school. Every time, sports day used to come, everybody used to say, Milkha Singh's son's supposed to win this race. And I never did. But as I grew up, I realized that father is a very well-known person. And I've got to, respect him for what he's done. And I think coming from a house where, he always emphasized a lot on hard work, discipline, determination. It helped me get to where I am today. And obviously pressures were there in the family, but for the good.
Now, of course, like every Indian parent, we all look to academics and we look at studies, and when you're growing up, that's the prime motivating factor. You go to school, go to college, get a good job. How was it? Was it difficult for you to play the sport that you wanted to play later on?
Growing up, my father never wanted me to be a golfer. Emphasis was always on studies. They made sure I went to school, and I went to a very good school. In fact, I went to St. John's, and then I went to Bishop Cotton in Shimla. Then I had a 3-month break, I remember, in the 7th grade. And I came down and I worked really hard on the game, and I did well in the junior tournaments. And that's when I said, Dad, I want to play this game. He says, okay, son, if you want to, please go ahead, but studies are still the first. I said, okay. Started playing the game, did well in juniors, then got a golf scholarship in the States. Still didn't know that I wanted to be a professional golfer, because he said, you better get a degree. I got an associate in business and administration, and I picked up the phone. I was 21 years old, I still remember, and I called up Dad and I said, Dad, I want to be a professional golfer. He said, son, please go ahead. Fantastic. I never expected that. He said, please go ahead, but there's no looking back, because I don't have a business where you can fall back to, and you've just got to, and this is it. I said, okay, Dad. Took the plunge at the age of 21, and things have been great so far, and I've enjoyed it.
Now, did Mom feel the same way? Did Mom and Dad agree with everything that Dad was saying?
Yes, Mom, both of them. In fact, the whole family, even my sisters, were very supportive. And they said, yes, let him follow his dream. And I was fortunate. If I was from a business house, I don't think so I would have been given this opportunity, because my parents were from a sporting background. I'm sure that's the reason I was given a go-ahead and make a living out of what I love doing.
Now, obviously golf and tennis as well are not the kind of sports that we would grow up with in India. You grow up with football and hockey and of course cricket and so on, playing in school. Was golf sort of a unique sport at the time when you took it up that you were going to try and excel in?
That time, there were not many professional golfers. We didn't have a big professional tour. There was the Asian tour, there was the US tour, there was the European tour. Funny enough, I turned professional, and for the next 5 to 6 years, a lot of people ask me, whenever I'm out at weddings or at functions, what do you really do? I said, I'm a professional golfer. Yeah. He says, yeah, you play this game for fun, but what do you really do? I said, I make a living out of this. So it was funny. And then things changed. The media picked it up well. There was a lot of awareness of the game after about 7-8 years. And then people started realizing that, okay, yes, you can make a living out of professional golf. So I got onto the Asian tour, then the European tour, and then played the US for a while. So then things changed, and people started understanding that, hey man, you can make a living out of professional golf.
So we face the same questions then, the constant question was, yes, you play tennis, what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
But my late grandmother used to always ask me, so one of the funniest questions, she used to say, why do you have to go so far to lose? I still couldn't come up with an answer. But an athlete would understand that, obviously. Yeah. But tell me, as you grew up in India, golf courses were not numerous across the country. Coaching was not a big thing as far as golf is concerned. How did you start out and how did you get so good at an early age?
I lived very close to a golf course. And every time I got back from school, I used to cycle down to the golf course. We lived about a kilometer away from the golf course. And I used to cycle down. I used to get to the golf course. And I was fortunate enough, when I got to the golf course, there were about 5, 6 of us, same age guys, playing against each other. So we used to have a lot of competition. And that kind of pushed us guys and pushed me also. And that helped me to take the game up seriously, gave me that drive, that willpower to survive or to win, learn to lose. So it was quite helpful staying close to a golf course and having good players around me to compete with. So we pushed each other to become better.
Now, golf is, of course, like everything else, it's repetition. You go out there, we hit forehands and backhands all day long. You hit golf balls all over the place and with different clubs and different distances and so on and so forth. Now, when you face these challenges of your putts not going in, the drive, you pull it into the woods and so on and so forth. When you make a difficult or a bad shot, for example, which you would consider a bad shot, how do you get yourself mentally focused to be able to get out of that situation and put yourself in the position of saying, you know what, I can still make par. Let me not go for that birdie, but let me just try and make par here.
See, basically what you do is you hit a golf shot, and if it's not up to the mark and your expectations, you tell yourself, you know what, I've put myself in this situation. I've got to think about the next shot, not what I've already done. That's the past. You blank yourself on that. You think about the next shot. So what you do is, it's like chess. Then what you do is you decide, okay, I'm in the rough. I'm going to hit it back in the fairway. I'm going to get it to about 100 yards or 80 yards where you're comfortable with the wedge. You can get it to about 5 to 10 feet from there, and then you can hold the putt. You make your par and you move on. So basically, you're playing chess. You're planning it out. Yeah. So if you're in the woods, your main objective from there is to get it back in play, and then from there, hit it close to the flag and leave yourself a putt for a par. And I think for this, you need a lot of experience, and plus, you've got to be mentally strong. So I do a lot of mental training. I in the evenings, whenever I'm doing yoga, or in the mornings, I listen to this cassette. It's called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. It's a book which was by Joseph Murphy, and I've got it recorded in a tape form. And also The Secret. It's fantastic. It's basically telling you, walk your talk. Whatever you say to yourself is what you're going to become. So if I've had a bad day on the golf course, I'm not going to tell myself, that's it. I'm going to tell myself that, hey, tomorrow I'm going to shoot a course record. I'm going to be even better. It's like an ego system fighting you that, hey, if it's a bad day, I'm going to prove it wrong, that, hey, I'm going to be better the next day.
So it's positive thinking.
Yes.
You're kind of willing yourself into a mode of positive thinking. Golf is a very mental game, as we know. And, it is as individual as it gets. And in tennis, of course, individual sport. You do have a bit of consultancy in the fact that you do have a caddy with you who can read maybe a wind or where the pin placement is and so on and so forth, or read a putt. But when you're going out there to make that putt, and it's a 10-footer, 15-footer, what is going through your mind that separates you from the rest who actually go out there and putt? There are 10,000 people watching around the green. It's just you, the ball, and your club, and the hole, and you're trying desperately to make that putt. And it could be the difference between winning and losing.
So basically, when you have to make that 10-footer, to win the tournament, you basically get into a zone. And what you're thinking about is process and routine only. I'm not trying to make that putt. Deep down, yes, I am. But I'm just trying to execute the shot to the best of my ability. And how can I do that? Is by following my process and routine, which I've done for years. When you practice, you hold these 10-footers saying, oh, this one's to win the US Open, or this one's to win this tournament. How do you hold those putts? Because I followed the process. You line the putt up, you think about what works for you, what process works for you, and then you just stick to your routine and you just stroke it down the line. And that way you have a better chance of holding the putt than trying to hold the putt.
So there is an immense amount of concentration, obviously. You're oblivious of the 10,000 people around you on the green, on the roar that might or might not go up after the shot is played. But is there a wavering there when you're about to make that putt, a little bit of a waver?
Yes, for sure. You know, you feel the pressure. But what I normally do is I take deep breaths to make sure that there's enough oxygen in my system, and plus I'm comfortable and I'm calm. I'll take 3-4 deep breaths, and then when I get into the putt, I'll just focus on that line, zone in like I get into a bubble. Zone in and just stroke it. Like the perfect example would be the Scottish Open in the playoff. My only thought process was just follow your routine and process. You've done this millions of times.
I was talking to a friend of ours, Freddie Couples, not long ago, and he and I are good friends. We've talked about our respective sports, and he's a sports junkie. He watches all sports and he knows everything about all sports. So I was asking him in an interview at the Masters, actually, the year that you were there, and I said to him, and I think he won it in '92, and I said to him, so when you're in a playoff situation and you're 150 yards out, you hit an 8 or a 9, depending on what the weather conditions are and so on and so forth. There's nobody who's bothering you there. You just go out there and pick up that 8 or 9 iron and put it next to the flag. What's the big deal about that? And he came right back to me to say that, do you remember the Agassi-Ivanisevic Wimbledon final in 1992? And he said, why did Ivanisevic serve those 2 double faults at 4-5 in the 5th? All he had to do was serve in the box, And I said, I get your point. The pressure at that time is immense. And irrespective of what sport it is, especially an individual sport, it makes it even more difficult. The question is, at that point in time, are you able to pull in all of the work that you've done and the power of concentration to be able to execute the shot that you want to do?
Yes, that's what I try to do to the best of my ability. Sometimes it doesn't work, but the only thing a human being can do or a sports person can do is try and give it a best shot. And that's what I do, especially when the Scottish Open putt was there. I said, you know what? Process and routine. That's all I did. And I zeroed in on that and I stroked it and I hold that putt.
Let's talk a little bit about the fact that you did have some setbacks. You've had some injuries, you've had some issues. How do you come out of these situations and get back on track?
Being a professional athlete, I think it's part of the package. You have to get injured because you're not doing a normal job. You're torturing your body and it's part of the package. So what I tell myself is, you're injured, take time off. But what keeps me going is, I still feel I've got a lot more in me and I can win a lot more tournaments. And I still have to prove a lot of things to myself. I have goals which I want to achieve. And that's what keeps me going. You have a bad day or you've had a bad season, that's fine. That's when the mental side comes in. That's when I listen to The Secret, the power of the subconscious mind, that shows me the right direction. If I've had a bad season, never mind. The next season is going to be fantastic. I'm healthy enough. I'm strong enough. I've done it before. I will do it again. So you've got to look at the positive side in life when things are not going the right way. If you look at the negative, you're not looking good. I think you better give up. I think whenever a person is going through a tough time in life, he's got to look at the positive things in his life and things are going to get better for him. And that's the way I keep myself going.
Now, when you look at golf and look at your career over the last, let's say, over the last decade, and you look at the good points, the high points, the low points, and so on. And what do you take away? Are you able to take away more from your defeats or from your successes?
I'm able to take away more from my success. I always want to think about the positives. You know, a lot of people ask me, you know, in the interviews, oh, Jeev, you know, you shot this number in that tournament. I said, I delete anything that is not good for me. I said, I don't want to know. I said, I tried on every shot, but I don't want to think about that. Let's talk about that 65 I shot or that 63 I shot. I said, let's talk about the things which give me a buzz, which make me feel good about myself so that I can repeat it and I can go out there and do it again. So that's what I like talking about.
Now, when you look at golf and how it has changed continuously, perhaps like tennis as well, every 5 years there is a change in the game, and where do you think the major changes have come, besides the fact that the courses, they've lengthened some of the courses, the majors and so on, and you know the equipment has become better, and you know the balls have become amazing and so on. But how do you adapt to these changes that take place every 3, 4, 5 years?
I think the changes are for the better. Courses are getting longer, but I still believe that old school courses were fantastic. Tree lined, you had to shape the ball, you had to move the ball left to right to left. That's fantastic. Links courses, different kind of golf. Then there are courses where you just got to bang it, you got to hit it far. Equipment wise, fantastic. Good for us guys, as we're getting older, we can keep up with the youngsters. With the ball, you get more distance. I've just put a new driver in the bag. It's called the Big Bertha Alpha. I've gained 10 yards with it. So I can keep up with the youngsters. New ball, softer, but goes far enough. Fantastic against the wind or into the wind. So it's great. The equipment's for the better, and it's good for us guys to compete with these youngsters who've got the strength to hit the ball far enough. They carry the ball 300 yards, 305 yards, and we guys carry it 275. And now with the new equipment, I'm carrying it 285. So it's fantastic when I get a 10, 15 yard grace and I say, you know what, I'm feeling good. Now I can get to the par fives, I can make birdies.
Absolutely. How do you attract or partner a caddy? How do you pick him? Does he have to have the same thought process you do? Is there a relationship like we may have in tennis and doubles? Is it similar?
Yes, it is. It's very important. I think you've got to vibe well together. Firstly, when I chose Janet, that was about 5 years ago, I spoke to her. I said, these are the things I like on the golf course, and I want you to just talk about the positive stuffs. And the most important thing was, on the golf course, I told her, never show me negative. If there's water on the right, don't tell me there's water. Show me what is the middle of the fairway and what is it to that. It's very important. Some caddies will say, oh, you got to keep it short of the water. Okay, you keep it short of the water, but you got to tell me where I want to hit the ball. Show me the direction where I want to go. That's very important. You want a positive caddy on the bag. Second thing you want is, she's got to know you. She's got to know your pulse. When you're feeling the pressure, she's got to start talking to you, reminding you of good things, handle you well so that you can pull the shot off. Talk to you about, you know, that tournament, what a golf shot you hit, Jeev. That's very good. Stuff like that. And I'm a firm believer, 2 minds are better than 1 under pressure. And she's got to know her job well, or his job well. Wind, greens, distance. And I think that makes a lot of difference.
And a lot of conversations between shots?
Depends. If you feel the pressure, She knows that it's coming on. We're going in for the hunt. She'll start talking to me, trying to ease things down, get the pressure out. She'll talk about good stuff, or then she'll suddenly talk about, this what happened last night. We were out for dinner. Just take me away from the game, and then bring me back. So it makes a lot of difference. Just easing out.
Yes.
Taking the pressure out. That don't get too involved in it, that you build so much of pressure and that you can't pull the shot. Take you away and bring you back. I think that's very important.
Now, when you look at the quest for excellence, and as athletes, we've all looked at it over a period of time, and you look at it and you tell yourself, yes, in tennis, okay, you need to make certain rankings, you need to win certain tournaments, you need to have a good season as opposed to look at just one event here and there. I'm assuming it would be similar in golf. But as you look at this quest for excellence, are you looking to peak at any particular time during the course of the season? Or are you looking to just have a good season?
I am looking to have a good season. Every tournament I tee it up in, I want to win that. But it doesn't happen. But they say if you want to shoot a 62, you want to think about a 56. Because it's not that easy. So when I think about winning each and every week, if I'm playing 35 weeks a year, maybe I'm going to do it maybe once or twice. And that's a fantastic season. So if you think about winning, maybe you finish top 10, maybe you finish top 20 that week, depending on the weather conditions and how you're feeling with your swing or mentally how you are that week. But end of the day, I'm still trying to win each and every tournament I play in. If you're not thinking like that, you're not making the cut. Because if you're thinking about the cut, you're not making the cut. So if you're thinking about winning, maybe you win once or twice, but at least you're getting close to it. You have a lot of top 10s that way. That's what I consider a good season.
Now, I read somewhere that Tiger Woods mentioned that you play too much. You play too many tournaments, 35, 36 weeks in the year, and he's got to slow down. He's got to be able to give himself more time for his body to recover, and so on and so forth. Do you agree with that school of thought?
Every time he tells me that, I start laughing because that's the first thing he tells me. But Vijay, I love playing, and I feel I'm fit enough to play 35 weeks a year. A lot of people think differently, but I believe that I can go for 35 weeks. I do a lot of practice on the golf course, whereas a lot of other players do a lot of practice off, when they're off on the off time, basically. But I love practicing when I'm on the road. I hit a lot of golf balls, I get into a routine, I'm very happy. But when I'm off, I spend a lot of time with the family. But I just love playing. That's why I keep going.
Which brings me to family. And 2008, you got married. And obviously that changes one's life, we all know. And then 2010, you had your child, and that changes you even further. Now, try to give me a little heads up on how the first change was when you first got married.
When I got married, it was tough, especially you're so used to doing your own stuff on the road. And, I'm going to have room service today. Oh, I'm going to go for dinner at this place. Suddenly you've got somebody with you got to think about. And you're not the only one. So things change. So you go, she wants to go for dinner. And you don't want to go to that place, but you still have to. So she wants to go shopping now after the round. But you're tired. You just don't want to do anything. You just want to lie down in your bed and watch television. But you have to do that. So that was a big change, but for the better. It's been great. She's been very supportive. She walks with me all the time. In Malaysia when it's humid and hot, Scotland when it's freezing cold. So she's been amazing. She's been amazing support for me. And then when we come back, she starts talking about, hey, you know what? I think you need to get mentally strong and hit that shot, pull it off. So what if it doesn't happen? So that way she's been fantastic. When the little boy, Jay, came into our life. I think he's a gem, and I think God's been kind. He's been healthy. He's just changed my life. The difference I feel is, earlier days when I used to go onto the golf course, I used to play, I used to come back, I used to still think about the game. Now I come back to the room, I switch off. The little one runs to me, gives me that hug, and I'm a brand new person. I'm fresh. And I don't think about the game. I just think about spending time with him, the questions he asks me. He wants to watch Chota Bheem, or he wants to watch Spider-Man, and I'm there watching it with him, and I'm just loving it. I think it's fantastic for a person who's traveled all his life, week in, week out. I think everything is happening for the better. And now what I feel, sometimes when I have to hit the road again, I feel sad because I don't want to leave them. But he has a life too now, because he has to go to school, he has to get his education, he has to make his life. So that's the tough part, which I feel. I feel sad so many times when I have to leave them, and especially when he says, "Dad, why are you going? Why doesn't your job keep you at home?" I have to tell him, or I have to basically bribe him by telling him that Iceman is coming, Spider-Man's coming for you, and Batman's coming for you. So this time when I was coming to Mumbai to play, I told him, I said, "You know what? Spider-Man and Batman's coming for you."
Both coming.
Okay, that's fine. Then you can go.
Obviously, priorities change at this point in your life, and you want to be home more. You want to be with the boy and with your son, and so on and so forth. It makes it more difficult to go out. It makes it more difficult to go out and practice. Is the urge, the desire, the interest still there as when you first started?
Yes, it is still there. The urge is still there. The will to prove myself is still there. And to do well is still there. But I went through a phase, Vijay, when I had him for about a year and a half, I would say last year and a year before. I didn't want to play golf. I didn't want to go out there and just do something, you know. I was just there for the sake of being there. The reason was I missed them a lot, and I wanted them to travel with me all the time, but it couldn't happen. But with time I've realized, and obviously the feeling I have is to do well, that yes, they have their own life, but I still have another 5 years in me. So I want to do well, and I want to prove it that to the world that I'm still a good player and I can win a major championship. And that's what's got me back and it's got me going again, so that I can do it for the country and myself.
And as you look at that process, are there changes? Are there additions? Are there things? Are you a different Jeev than when you played when you first started or in the middle of your career?
For sure, I'm a different Jeev now. I'm more patient on the golf course. I handle myself better and with pressure. I do a lot of stretching and weight training, mental training, and yoga to keep myself fit. Because I'm a firm believer, after 40, a body's muscles start shrinking. And to play this game at the best, you have to make sure you stay fit, stay healthy, and you're mentally strong. So a lot of changes have taken place, like physical trainers and mental trainers, and doing the right stuff, what is good for me and for the game.
Jeev, in our conversations we've been talking about, and you've been mentioning how marriage and family has obviously added to your golf more than anything else. Now, what does it take for Jeev to fulfill his thought process and his dreams from here? Because obviously now you're a unit as opposed to an individual.
Yes, for sure. As a unit, I think we've got to work together, try to achieve the goal, what I'm working on. And the goal is to win a major championship one day. Wife has to be understanding that I'm spending a lot of time on the road, out of the house, when I'm taking a break because I have to go to the gym, I have to go with my physical trainer, my mental trainer. She's got to understand that. And she's basically sacrificing her life and living through me. And that's a tough decision for a woman of today's. She wants time for herself, and but she's been very understanding with me and my profession. And the little one also has been fantastic. He travels well with us. And luckily, we are fortunate enough when we're on the road, we have the creche where we can leave him and she can walk with me. And I think a sports system moving in the right direction and working towards the same goal is very important for a professional athlete to achieve what he wants. Like my wife, when I come back home, I think it's a sportsman needs a good atmosphere at home. He needs to be comfortable, he needs to be happy. There needs to be positive vibes. But there are times when things are not in the right direction, but that's part of the package. It happens to every family in the world. But end of the day, overall, I feel it's been fantastic. They've adjusted and they're living their life through my profession. And I think it's going to happen for another 5 years because all of them know that these next 5 years are very important for me. Because after that, I'm going to be a senior and I'm going to hit the senior tour. So they are telling me that these 5 years, you have the support of the family and the backing of the family. So please go ahead and do what you want.
That's wonderful. That's the best you can hope and expect at the same time. If you look at your son, do you visualize a sport for him? A sport, not necessarily golf?
I visualize a sport and I'm hoping it would be golf. But, in today's day and age, the young kids, I think, should be able to make their own decisions. I can't force anything. I can just guide him and tell him that this is good for you. And after that, it's his decision whether he wants to be a golfer or whether he wants to do something else. I'm going to leave it to him. And I think the most important thing is a kid should be given an opportunity to follow his dream. And I think that's when he's going to give it the best. And as a parent, if I can do that, give him an opportunity and the right guidance, after that, it's up to him what he wants to do.
A sport would be good. To play a sport would always be good. I always encourage children to play a sport. Would it be too much pressure for him to play golf and follow in the footsteps of Jeev? Had you been a runner to start with?
I would love it if he can be a golfer because I just feel that this game offers a lot to you and then the lifespan is also for a longer period of time than the other sports. So I just feel that if he can take up golf, it'll be fantastic. I tried athletics. In school, I was very good. And after that, I said, you know what? I prefer walking on the golf course. Instead of these sprints, I would like to walk and follow that ball and chase it and make sure I hit it in the least amount of shots and get it in the hole. So I think I prefer walking than running.
Makes complete sense to me. Though we did a lot of running in our sport.
That's right.
But now, finally, I want to ask you about what advice you would want to give not just kids, but people in life, basically, in different walks of life, and people go through years of working in jobs and in manufacturing, in retail, in their own businesses, or working for companies and so on and so forth. Is there something that you can share with them that would tell them, listen, obviously each of our jobs are different. The fact that we chose a sport to do what we wanted to do. But in life, there is that quest for excellence, isn't there? I mean, people really want to be the best they can be.
Yes, and I think to be the best in whatever you're doing in life, you've got to have the desire, firstly. And you've got to have that belief system that you can do it. I always tell everybody that what keeps me going is that belief I have in myself that I can do it. I think anybody, anywhere in doing whatever they are in their life, they've got to have that. And they've got to have that desire. I feel, and also the most important thing is you've got to do something what you love doing. That's very important. Because if you're not doing that, you're not going to be excited every day when you wake up in the morning that I'm going to do this. And if you're doing something for the sake of doing it, it's going to be like, oh, you know what? This is another day of work, I'm bored of this, but I still have to do it because I have to make a living out of it. Whereas if you love doing, and if you're making a living out of what you love doing, you'll be excited. You'll wake up every morning and say, you know what? Oh, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to do this today. You're going to be something different and you'll do it to the best ability. Like, I'll give an example. I wake up every morning for a golf tournament. I get to the first tee. I still feel the pressure. I've been doing it for the last 30 years. I shouldn't be. Why I feel it? Because I love it. That's why. Because I feel that I love this thing, what I'm doing. I want to prove myself. That's why I feel the pressure. The day I stop feeling the pressure, I think my career's over. I feel that, I don't have that desire anymore. I've just become another person who just goes out there for the sake of going and doing a job. Whereas I still feel that excitement. And that's what everybody should feel when they do whatever they do in their life. If they have that feeling, that means they love their profession and they'll do it to their best ability.
Have we seen the best of Jeev Milkha Singh yet?
No. I think there's a lot more left in me. I feel these next 5 years are very important and I feel I've got a major in myself. And before my golfing career is over, I want to get it.
Well, we're all right behind you, Jeev. All the very best to you, your family, and I certainly hope your dreams come true. But more than anything else, your vision and the quest for excellence is really what matters to us most. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vijay. It's good talking to you.